All right. Let's add Greg. Welcome, Greg. Greg is here.
Hey,
Greg is in the house. Yay.
great to see you,
All
Kim.
right. Great to see you too, Greg. All right, everyone. Welcome as you're jumping on in. Remember, for the 5-day training, our part is closing tomorrow. We've onboarded. We've actually got 3 more clients come in over the weekend. So we're going to say congratulations. Whoop. And also, before we get started, I want to make sure as you're jumping on in that this interview will be interactive. Let me know what is your group size and also who do you serve in your community. The reason why I do these interviews is because some people might resonate with Greg and not resonate with us. So it's a win-win. It's not just an interview where I'm like, hey, look at my client, look how good he's doing. So it's definitely a two-way street type of interview. With that said, Greg, welcome to. Thank you for making it today, and I want to have them get to know you better. So let's get into what led you down this. What series of events led you down this rabbit hole of monetizing from a Facebook group community? And how did you? Yeah, like what are the things that happened that had you stumble upon us? And then what's your origin story? Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I started my Facebook group from scratch in October. It's now 7 months later. And my Facebook group is on virtual dinner parties. That's what we do. And so if people want to come to our virtual dinner parties, we would invite them to our Facebook group. And that's how we were building a community of coaches and online entrepreneurs. And so I was having some success with the Facebook group model where people would join and, we would use the approval questions, get them to raise their hand, book a call with them, and enroll them as clients. In our program, it's a done-for-you program where we help coaches run and fill their own virtual dinner party events. So we were having some success, but I really didn't have any plan of what I was doing once they got in the group. And that's kind of what I was looking for, some solutions, some strategies, some mentorships, some proven ways of like, now that I have all these people in the group, what do I do with them? And that's kind of what led me to you to come out to your event in Orlando, to get to meet you. And, I just got a very genuine vibe from you, and that was a big part of what led to me wanting to work with you. I felt like you genuinely cared about your people, and so that's kind of how I came to know you.
Awesome. So before October, so you started your Facebook group in October, you filled it up and you're like, well, now I need a game plan on what to do to, make the best of this community to be able to not only monetize, but also serve them in a way where it energizes you to show up and it builds your business. So what did you, Greg, you said you weren't having the success that you would like to have before you joined us. What were the things that you tried? And the reason why I want to talk about this is because it's something that those of you who are watching probably tried the same things. So what are the things that you've tried before using this model that you're doing now to your group?
Yeah. Well, and so for the year before this, I just ran my business, the Virtual Dinner Party Consulting, on my personal Facebook. I was kind of like, well, what do I even want a group for? Like I was treating my own personal Facebook like it was a group in my mind that was the same thing. And again, we were getting some results with that, but it was a real grind. Like since we ran our first challenge, I'm brand new with the client with you. We've had, amazing results since then. But so I was running it on my personal Facebook and trying to treat my base of 5,000. I was in this mindset like, well, I have 5,000 friends. If I invite them over to my group, 80% of them aren't going to come. And now I'll have lost 80% of my reach. And then that's what we did. We invited people over to the group. We started building the group. And we were using the group questions to get people to raise their hands. And we were booking calls right off of that. So as soon when someone joined the group, I would have a setter message them saying, hey, you said you would like to book a call with us, and qualifying them and creating some demand. So my setter was doing that and then booking them with me. And then eventually I wound up hiring a closer. And all of that works, but it's kind of a grind if that's like your only strategy for enrolling clients. That was my only strategy that we were using with the group.
Yeah.
And I was kind of skeptical of the whole challenge thing too. And I kind of felt like, challenges, I feel like they burst on the scene, right? When COVID hit, everybody was running challenges. Tony Robbins was running challenges. Everybody was running challenges. And I ran a challenge back then. I'm like, I can just go to one and, watch this and learn this on my own and kind of reverse engineer it. And it really never got any results. This was back in 2020, before I met you, before I did anything. We had tried to run a challenge, and I'd kind of written off the model since then. I'm like, they kind of have come and gone and peaked. And, I know myself as a high level entrepreneur, I was like, well, I don't go to challenges anymore. I know that it's like a setup, right? That they're going to teach you stuff and then sell you stuff at the end, right? So I was like, if I know that, probably my audience knows that. And so I was kind of not really that in on the challenge model. And then I looked at the results that you were getting with the challenges, and you took the time to really talk to me about how your challenges are different. And that's what really kind of opened my eyes. And honestly, it was mostly on faith. I was like, I just feel like I trust Kim. I've seen the results with her. I don't totally, some of the things you were telling me to do, I'm like, really? But but it worked, right? It's worked here. So, if you're thinking those things right now, you just have to kind of put your faith in Kim and the system here. So for example, I looked at your challenges. I watched one of your challenges right before deciding to run this. And I was like, some of this is a lot of fluff and inspiration. And I don't like that stuff. I'm a very facts and figure guy. I'm like, that's not my style. I teach really good stuff and deliver really big results. And you kind of talked to me about that, that's what you need to add in, Greg. That's the missing piece to connecting with your people, is inspiring them to step up into their next step in their business. For me, it's inspiring people that they can become high ticket coaches using our virtual dinner party system. And so I just was like, all right, let me try that, right? And there were quite a few things. The pop-up group idea was another thing that I was like, why would I want to do that? Why don't I just run this in my main group? Why am I going to invite everyone over to another group? And you kind of just said, hey, just trust me, this works. You always would tell me why it works, which I like too. I wasn't just blind faith. You'd explain to me why it worked. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go with that as well. And everything, every piece of that, in the end, the pop-up group is so brilliant because I didn't have to build any landing pages or anything. And I wound up a super engaged group of people. So that's kind of that part of how it came to be.
Yeah. So there was a lot of things that you unpacked there, Greg. So for the audience, hey guys, if you're just jumping on in, smash that heart button. Let me know that you're here. Hashtag live if you're watching the live, and hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And also, I want this interview to be interactive. So ask us questions. There's a reason why Greg books over 60 calls with one launch, his 5-day training. I think it was day 5 that he booked those many calls. Josh is here with us. Hey, Josh. I know it's called Facebook user, but I see your name. Josh has a pretty big Facebook group community, and he's on the fence. He attends a lot of my 5-day training. So 3 things you said. Number 1, you ran challenges before, and you figured that you could just look at a challenge and kind of mimic it. and you didn't get the same results, I want to dive a little bit deeper into like how it felt. Like, what did it look like when you ran a challenge on your own, and then what did it look like when you like deployed our model? Like, how did it tactically, maybe like a few things that were different, but how did it feel in terms of obviously you got a lot more results, but there were a lot of people who do talk to me and show up to the training, and they show up to multiple trainings, and it's like their third 5-day challenge, and it's still, they're in that like, I'm in the training mode and I'm going to try it on my own. Why do I need to even enroll? So I want to tackle that first. Like, why didn't you just try it again, Greg? Like, you were like, hey, maybe this is different. So what are the ways, now that you're on the inside, what are the things that you felt was really different and if it was worth it for you to, like, if you were to rewind the clocks of time and you were to go back, you rewind backwards, would you have joined Ignite sooner, maybe?
Yeah. So, definitely, with the results we've had, I wish I had run a challenge right from the beginning with my group, right? And in the beginning, my belief would have been, well, I didn't have that many people in my group, but the group, the pop-up group we ran the challenge in, wound up having almost 300, about 200 and something people in it, right? So that's all we really had for the challenge. And I was kind of stuck in this mindset that, well, I need to wait till my group gets up to like 1,000 people to then run a challenge. And some of the things that I like, the inviting of the people to the challenge, that you told me exactly what to say and do. And again, I was like, really? But then I did it. I just like, okay, this is what Kim says is going to work. And I did it. And sure enough, like, it worked. Like, I'm like, wow, all these people are coming and over to my pop-up group. I was kind of like, well, I didn't know why anyone was going to do that. I wasn't quite getting it from the outside. Right. But the way, even the messaging, inviting them to the challenge, like, activated people that had been in my group that hadn't been engaging at all. Suddenly, like, now they were down to come to this challenge. And one of my limiting beliefs around my group was that it's not the perfect people either. I'm like, this, I have a lot of people that following me, but like, so far what I'm seeing is like, 10% are at like a level where they're willing to buy my 10K or 5K programs. And I'm like, the other 90% of these people are just like starting out. I want to help them and serve them, but I'll never be able to do business with them, was kind of my mindset. And you kind of like, well, you said, oh, the challenge tends to get people out in Greg. And again, I couldn't see how that could be until we ran the challenge. And then I'm like, wow, like, all these same people are here now. They're engaging. The people that, were in my group, they come to my live streams, but never buy anything. They came to my challenge. And because I wasn't just teaching now, because I was inspiring them, which you really helped me to do too, because otherwise it would have been like to write a challenge in that way. It would be a lot of advanced copy stuff, but it's all kind of built in with the assets you give us to run these challenges. It was work, but a lot easier than doing it from scratch. And that way of teaching, the way you've been experiencing this week in Kim's challenge, it really inspires people. And those same people that I thought were never going to buy from me, two of them actually DM'd me before we even got going into the challenge and were like, hey, I want to sign up. And we hadn't even like presented it in the offer in the challenge yet. So by like day 3, we had 2 pay in fulls. And then we wound up having over 60. It was 63 people had booked calls by Thursday. And that was amazing. These are the same people that before that, were not interested. And they knew, because they've been in my group, they knew our price tag was 10K. And that didn't scare them off. Like, they were ready to jump in and and become clients now. So those were a lot of the things in the how you do this. I mean, there's a lot I could keep talking about here. Like the whole strategies around the VIP are really a big part of it. And
we don't need to get into the weeds of it. It's just I wanted to hear from you what was such a big difference, because the biggest thing that I hear is, why should I join your training, Kim? I could just do it myself. I just look at what you're doing and just go and do it. And I'm like, okay, well, you could do that. And hearing from you, I think it will bring out some of the details that it's a lot more than meets the eye, and it's in a way that you can do it. So the next question I want to ask is, what was the time saving that you felt like we helped you in terms of saving time from going from where you were at to now the level of book calls, the level of conversion? How much time do you think we saved you?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing about plugging into your system is that it works so great, and now it's a repeatable model that I can use every month, right? So it is, work and time and effort to build your challenge, and I'm going to be iterating it as we go, but the core of that work is done now, right? So now it's like, for my next month, we're going to do our next one. We took about 6 weeks in between, but my ultimate plan is to be running them every month like you do. And like the work of it all, like the time savings, like I could talk about the time savings so far in terms of the trial and error. If I was trying to figure this out on my own, would have been so much time, would have been so much lost money. I mean, if I lose just one 10K client like that by trying to figure it out on my own, that basically pays for, working with you. So there's that part of it, but even more valuable is like going forward now. Now I have a systematic way of getting clients that I can just plug into that'll be very leveraged, very, time efficient for me to run. It's what's finally going to allow me to go into paid ads. I've always been hesitant to get back into paid ads until I really have a dialed in system of conversion. And now I feel like I have that working with Kim.
I love that. I love that, because so many people have been burned by ads.
Yeah, well, ads, you don't want to be trying to figure out ads while you're trying to figure out your conversion, right? You want to have it dialed in, and you've helped me with that. And all along, it's been, there's just been this. The moment I signed up with you, it was just like this feeling of relief. Like I just have this faith now that Kim's not going to let me down, that her system's going to work. Like I've had other people that have promised me things before, and it didn't work out, and I felt that genuineness with you, and things have fallen into place. And not everything has been perfect all along. Actually, I don't even think I ever told you this part, but like 2 weeks before we launched the challenge, so the week before when we were inviting everyone, and then the challenge, well, 2 weeks before the challenge, my setter came to me and basically quit. She said, hey, I don't want to quit with you right before we do this challenge thing, but I just want you to so I'll stay with you. I don't want to leave you in a bad spot, but I'll let you know, like, I'm not like feeling this. I don't want to do it. And I was like, well, I can't have you be checked out and be talking to my people like that. So basically you are quitting. And so I had to do it all myself. Like all the DMing, we didn't really have a setter through the whole challenge. But even like as that came up, I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick to the system. I'm just going to do this. So if you're a person out there who doesn't have a setter yet, or worried, like, what if your setter quit? Like, you can still just do it. You can still grind it out and do it all yourself. And the other thing that happened was right before, like the month before, 4 weeks before the challenge, I got my next booster shot. I was like, I want to make sure I don't get sick or nothing for this. And then I got really sick from the vaccine shot. And so the whole time, like through the challenge, I was dragging. I was like, I was feeling like the worst. Like these symptoms lingered on for weeks. And even in the midst of that, like I, was just able to follow your system And to be, I feel like an inspiring leader now. Like I feel like my people really look up to me. The ones that didn't buy this time, like out of the 60, we enrolled 16 new clients into our program. And I feel like the rest are like ready to come back next month and will be ready to buy again because we just bonded so well during the challenge with them.
Oh, I love that. Out of 60, 16 enrolled, and the conversion rate that we typically see is 3 to 5% because those are like the early adopters. So 3 to 5% of 300 people would be anywhere from 9 to 15. So you actually are on the higher end of that percentage right there, which is
and
awesome.
we canceled out about 15 of those booked calls. Right, we had a little application. So we wound up taking about 45 calls and closing 1 out of 3.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really good conversion. Which is expected because you followed my system. The next question I want to ask is that in terms of consuming actually, let me take a step back. The biggest objection we have, Greg, is that I bought a bunch of programs already. Why would this work? And I think you were in the same mentality. You're like, I've invested in a lot of in myself already. What makes you feel like after all your investments that you're gonna do another investment and go for it? Like, what besides you mentioned earlier, like that you feel we will genuinely be there for you. Was there anything else that made you go, hey, this time it's going to be, different. And, this is another investment, but I'm going to step into it. Like what was that thing that had you say yes to that?
Yeah, I mean, I had the advantage of meeting you and Michael and your team in person. And that really, just showed me like, these are people that I feel I can trust. These are people that as I grow, I would want to be around. This is a community of people, from Larry, your sales expert, to Michael, to Kim. Like, I just felt like this is working. They figured out a way of doing this. This is working for them. They're genuine people. They're going to be able to show me how to work this for me. I didn't watch any modules. Like I'm like not a person who needs another course. Honestly, I was telling myself I don't need another coach. And I don't look at it like that. You're not like a coach who has like a weekly call with me type of thing. But it was like one call with Michael, and then I was off and running, designing my slides. Then one call with you to like look it all over. A call with Angel to like get our DM strategy down, and that was in the group calls, and boom, that's it, right? It wasn't like I had to watch a lot of videos. I mean, there is a lot of content there, for people that want all those details. But that was part of it for me too. I just wanted to get results. Like I don't need another course. I don't need another coach. I'm a high level person myself, but I just felt like you had some things that you were going to show me. And then the whole software thing really intrigues me too. Like you've opened my mind into wanting to get more into that. And I'm like, that's really smart. And these are people that I would want to continue learning from and growing from and have in my circle of, friends and people, business peers.
Yeah, I love that. We are broadcasting this interview to our other groups that don't have no idea about the 5-day training or what's going on, because we don't pitch into our main group all the time. So if you want to learn more about the 5-day training that's going on right now, go and click on my profile and click anywhere on the links. It's in the banner. You don't need to even click in my profile. You can click on the banner and the link is there for you to come on into the training. Now, we are kicking everyone out tomorrow. So you have like one day to be in it. We run these trainings periodically, and we don't pitch into our main group. It's only those who want to learn this method. But with that said, Greg, I love that you said you didn't have to watch a bunch of modules in order to do this. It was a call with Michael, call with me, and one call with Angel to get the messaging correct for your setters. And for you, since your one setter quit. So it would be that. So I actually want to ask a technical question, because this is what a lot of people come to me with. They're like, Kim, I am too busy. I have 4 kids. I have a husband or a wife that is kind of supportive, but they're being tested. Their patient is being tested because I bought all these programs. Well, how much time did you actually spend, for you, Greg, to see the return on your investment? So I have 2 questions in that. How much time did you spend in terms of diving into the material, diving into what we have in terms of hours of your time? And then how long did it take for you to see that return on investment come back from when you joined?
Yeah. So, I'm the type of person who like dives into things. And that was part of it too. I when I had first talked to you and didn't sign up for Ignite, I'm like, oh, I know I need to have this right in my schedule. And as I look back on it now, I should have just moved things around to just do this instead of like waiting to join. And I'll be honest, like if it was the week before, like I was consumed with this, right? It was probably 50 hours of work, like messaging everyone, inviting them, making my slides. All that was the week before. Like I was all in, but for 1 week, like not a lot. Like if you plan this over a month, you could do it. You could space that out at probably 10 to 15 hours a week if that's all the time you have. But I'm the type like, no, I'm like, we're doing our challenge. I had, set it 3 weeks out. The first week I was just kind of planning. That second week I was all in. I was in DM all day. I was working on my slides, like a lot. And then the next week presenting, like it's all consuming that week too, right? You have your day session, your evening session, but mostly, all the details, all the managing of things, and so it was really 2 weeks of like all in. And then it's done, right? And then we probably 5x'd our return on investment. We ran our program at 5K for the challenge. We enrolled 16. I think a 17th client. It came a little bit after we closed the card. So we contracted about $85,000, and most everyone came in on 2 pays. So we collected about half of that. And like, so there, within a month's time, like we'd made back the money. And again, the big payoff is like, now that work is done, right? Now, the next time I go to run this, it'll probably be a surge for a week leading up to the event, but then running the event is going to be a lot less stressful because now I have all my slides. I know what I'm going to be doing. I know our process. We'll have a setter to help with it too, right? My vision is that I'll be able to run this once a month once we have a setter there, and it should only be 10 to 20 hours for me each of those 2 weeks, right? And then and that's it, right? To make and this is our first time running it, so I'm sure our numbers are going to go up and up as we start to bring more and more people into our group. The best month we had ever done before that was like probably 20 to 30K. Of signing people up kind of one by one here and there. This was everything all happened at once. And the other great thing with all this is like the next week now I had to systematize my onboarding, and your team's been helping me with that. And I need, before that, it's like wasn't worth it to do all that. I would just have a one-on-one with someone when they join. But now I'm like, okay, we have 16 people starting at once. Like I gotta systematize this, and then that's done now too, right? So now, all those things are in place that you want to have in place. So it is work. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like you have to do the work. You have to, make the slides, invite everyone. You got to have a great offer. You got to bring a lot of energy into what you do to make this work. But when you follow the system, it will work for you, and it can be done in a month's time. We just did it.
Amazing results, Greg. I love that. So you do have to put in the work. So this is not like a get rich quick, thing. So you put in all those hours, but how many hours I want to emphasize kind of how many hours did it take for you to consume the knowledge that we told you, like this is how it's done, for you to feel like, okay, I can go and do this? Like, is it 10 hours, 20 hours, 30 hours, 50 hours? Like how much consumption of the actual material did it take for you to have the confidence to say, I can do this now? That's something that I want to like get into the details, because I get asked that question a lot. Like, how many hours is really that I'll be able to pick this up and understand what it takes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll answer that saying, like, if I have a base level of marketing knowledge to begin with, right? If you're a coach who is, is learning marketing as you're going, all that's in the course here. It's really laid out easy to follow, and that would bring you up to speed if you need that. But I mean, if you know that stuff, like if you've sold on webinars before, if you've made a video sales letter and you kind of have that base level of going into this, then I didn't need to go into the course at all. I had one call with Michael where we kind of outlined what my challenge was going to look like. That was like an hour. Then I went and watched each of your challenges again, which you have those, and you give us the slides to those. So that was like an hour of each of those. Honestly, I put them on 2x speed, and they weren't even an hour, right, to watch each of those. But let's say that's another 5 hours, right? And so that in terms of consumption. And then I worked on my slides. I probably, if that's what we're counting as part of this, like there was probably, I put a lot into getting the slides there, maybe 2 full days of work, right? And then I had another call with you where we looked it all over. And thank God we had that call, by the way. That one call was like, because I had one slide that had like my whole offer, and you were like, no, you gotta name these things. You told me some things to do in there. And then I went back and revised those slides. And I sent them in for acid review, which is a great part of your program, how you have that. And I was a little nervous because after that, they just wrote back to me, oh, these look good, you're going to kill it. And I was like wanting you to nitpick it and make it even better and better for me. But at that point, just from that one call with you, I had listened to what you said and got it right. And so that's it. That was as far as the amount of time that it took me to prepare everything for the challenge.
I love that, Greg. And guys, Greg has sold on webinars before. He has a very long history of like understanding ClickFunnels. He's a sophisticated buyer. I do get a lot of people who come and experience us, and they're like, well, I'm too smart. I know so many things. I can just do this. And it's a testament to our program, really, that someone who already knows a lot about marketing, about funnels, about emails, about all these things, have a massive amount of success that's different than what they were used to before, a month into the program. And so that's how the program is designed, really, to be able to do that. I do want to answer some client questions or
I'll just add to that real quick, Kim, because I think it'll fit really good for you.
Go ahead.
Also, so I came to your challenge and maybe was like checked in, checked out, and bought it, right? And I'm a very high ticket buyer. And I found that with my group too. Because I part of my limiting belief was that, high ticket buyers, like people at my level, like I don't go to challenges anymore because I rarely do. And probably 40% of my clients that came in on this challenge were people that like, they didn't go to the whole challenge, but they saw I was running a challenge. They watched a little bit of pieces here and there, and they're like, oh my God, I want to do this virtual dinner party thing that you do, Greg. And so, that limiting belief that you're not going to get higher level people into a challenge. They may not go the traditional path of like attending live each time and going to all the VIP sessions, but people are watching. This is a way for you to present, your offer in a way that attracts high level people. And then on the other side of that, like my people that I thought were non-buyers, people had literally seen my offer and I'd had calls with before and they didn't buy, that we picked up half of those people too, right? 60% of my people were that avatar that I would have thought just aren't qualified to buy or right now. And just the way we presented inspired them in a way where like, no, that I need to do this now. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Hey, Carla, we're going to get to your question. I just have one more question that adds to this. So you went into the program. It took you a month. 300 people to your group, and $85,000 contracted. Half of that collected. The other half coming after 30 days. Those are phenomenal results, Greg. Were you surprised by those results? Was that something that we spoke upon when you enrolled? How we're like, hey, like, this is how it's going to go. Were you surprised by that? Or were you like, oh, okay. Like, I expected this. Let me know, what's your reaction to, because a lot of people don't even make that in a year, and you just did it in a month. And I know your previous results were 30K in a month, but this is considerably different. So what was your reaction when it started happening?
Yeah, so I was surprised on a level that it happened in my first challenge, right? I totally believe in my system, in my program, in myself. I have it up on my whiteboards that I'm gonna manifest 100K months. Like I believe that this was all possible, and but to have it happen, the first time we run a challenge, that's the part that really surprised me. And right up along the way, I was surprised at each level. I was surprised that 300 people signed up for my pop-up group, right? And then day one, we had like 74 people show up live. I was expecting 10%, to show up live. And then this was 74 people showing up, and by Thursday we had 63 booked calls. Like that all surprised me as well. Like each step of the way surprised me. And I'll say that it more than wound up being double what I thought it would be this first time. I knew we'd get there eventually with you. I believed we'd get there eventually with you. I saw the success stories you had with other people that were similar with me. And I had that belief in myself that if I do this and stick with this, I'll eventually get there. But getting to where we are, my first time doing this is a real blessing and a real life-changing thing. Like now I we're going to look at paid ads next month, right? We have the cash flow to be able to do other strategic things, to not have to worry about certain things, financially now, because it's not just getting that money. It's knowing that the way I got that money, I can go do that whenever I need to now. Right. And I even thought hey, do I want to take, a month off this summer to, go spend some time with my family and know I'd be able to come back and run this again in my group the next month. Right. So having that, knowing you have a systemized way to make money really opens up all kinds of things for your life to be doing the things you want to do with your life again. Like I've had a book in me I've been wanting to write forever, and I'm like, well, now I could go do that for a month if I wanted to, right? So all these things, all these ways I want to impact the world in a big way. I'm now able to do those, not necessarily from just that cash flow that came in, but no, it's about knowing that I have a system that I'll be able to do this forever now. So I do thank you for that, Kim. I'm grateful, for what you've shared with me, and you've earned it. I mean, you put yourself out there. Like your call with me to enroll, like we were on the phone 90 minutes, and I'm like, that's really impressed me that this was someone who was spending the time to get to know me, to make sure we were a good fit, and that genuine care for your customers. And not everything has gone perfect, but you're a person who's I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna make things right, and I appreciate that in a person too, because a lot of times, you do business with people and they promise you the world, and then they can't fulfill. And you've delivered.
I love that, Greg. And I love what you just said, which is it's not just the knowledge, it's the peace of mind that comes with knowing that this is something you can apply over and over again. So if let's say that in a year you're no longer with us, well, hopefully you're still with us, but let's say that are just on your own 5 years later, that this is something that you have that you can generate cash flow from and build out a team. And not only that, but have the time to think about the secondary ancillary things that you pushed aside because you're like, oh, I got to take care of this first. And that has been such a strong narrative for not only you, but probably a lot of people who are watching right now. It's like, how often do we put aside that vacation? How often do we put aside the book that we wanted to write, that secondary thing, because we just got to figure out this primary thing. And this is a way for you to know that the primary thing is going to be there, that next month you can do the same thing again and in a bigger way, right? With ads, that this is a potential for you to really like make a bigger impact. All the meanwhile, really think about yourself and the nice things you can reward yourself with, Yeah. So I love that.
You really need to be open-minded to new ways of monetizing things. I mean, that's probably the biggest objection I get in my business too, because, we run these virtual dinner party events and people will tell me, oh, I'm already making money from my group, or I'm already doing this or that. And like the smart entrepreneur is open to like new ways that make money, like not necessarily new ways. Like, I don't want to go down like a whole new path of like learning, something else. But if I'm already in Facebook groups, right, it makes sense for me to look at all the possible ways that I could make money with Facebook groups. And that's, what brought me into looking at you. And if you want to align yourself with people that are good at figuring out ways of doing things, right? There's lots of people that teach challenges, but Kim's kind of taken in parts of all of those and put her own stamp on this in a way that really works. And she's got the success in the software world, right? And if you look at her paid ads, like they're very creative and working. And those are all the things like that I want to learn. And I want to be around a group and with a leader who's very good at figuring all those things out, right? That's what's going to shortcut me figuring these things out for the long term, right? Those are the kind of people you want to be with and be, in their world and in their programs and learning from people that you see have that are good at figuring things out, and then also really care about their clients as well. That's a rare combination.
Thank you, Greg. I feel so flattered. Also, what I've noticed from your compliment is that it's not just a one-trick pony, one-hit wonder thing. It's a combination. It's people enroll with you because of the person that you are. When that becomes the case, then really your tribe will follow you for wherever you go. Because if they recognize you as a person who is resourceful, who figures things out, it's no longer becomes the program, it becomes the person. And that is a very powerful shift, because that will enable your tribe to go on this multi-year journey with you, because as you grow, they grow. And it's something that I embody, and I love to grow. So, and I love to pull my clients up with me as I grow. So it's definitely hearing you say that meant that what I'm doing is very intentional, and it's like being reflected. It's being communicated.
Fun too. Like the Orlando event was a lot of fun. Like I'm so excited for the Mexico mastermind. Like I'd love to get to meet, if anybody's watching this, I'd love to have you come out there and meet with you at Kim's event. Like, it's the content is good, but it might even be the same content next time. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like I know I'm going to pick up new pieces. I'm going to meet new people. I got value from talking to your other people that are in your system, right? And that's kind of like, I'm looking forward to that. Like I want to be a part of all the events that you run and continue to have these great experiences and learn from the people that you're bringing into your world. And I
love
do that for my people too, right? I watch everything you do. Like, okay, Kim's running these 3-day events. Like, that's the next thing I need to learn to get my people and, you know, and all my clients to come out to a 3-day event, right? And so that's you know, all the things that you're doing are the things that I can see myself progressing and growing into doing. And that's why, you know, it makes sense, you know, to align with you. You're very open-minded about sharing everything too. There isn't anything I feel like that you use this to sell on us, but wouldn't teach us to do type of thing.
We're like very transparent. Hey, I'm selling you right now, but this is how I sell it so that you learn how to do it to your people. Yeah, I love that, Greg. And guys, the Tulum event is July 15th to the 18th. Hashtag Tulum, hashtag Mexico if you want to know how to get a ticket to it. We do want to make sure that everyone in the room is a good fit. So that's why we're very careful on who we let come. So it is a 10-15 minute call to see if you are a good fit for the program. For the event, it's a 15-room mansion, and we have drummers, we have fire twirlers. It's going to be a blast. And Greg, to answer your question, it's not like the material that we bring every single time we have an event. It's reflective of the huge amount of growth that we experienced during that time span. So it's actually really good. We're one of our speakers, he's going to teach on how to monetize from your community, dropping your NFT release and getting into tokenomics as well. So because we don't want the Web3 movement to pass us by. It's something that I am very much looking forward to having you guys learn as well. So it's definitely not like the same old information. It's going to be wild.
If you follow your social media, you'll see like almost every week or weekend, like Kim is at some mastermind, like learning more and more. You know, so for you to then bring that back to all of us, it's kind of like we all get to learn from whatever's, you know, all these things that you're learning. But I see that, you know, that you're out there constantly learning and growing in the things that you're doing.
Yeah. And to answer some of your guys' questions, because I do want to answer that. So Carla asked, I don't have a group yet, so you help with that too. So with you, Greg, have you seen clients start out with like 0 people in their group? Have you seen them have success? You did a pop-up, so that was like starting back at 0 essentially. So how would you answer Carla if Carla doesn't have a group? Let's say, Carla, for this context, let's say that you don't have a group, but you're not like complete. Like, what is a funnel? You're not like complete starting over from scratch, super green. You just don't have a group, but you know how to, you know, teach to your people. And how would you answer that, Greg?
Yeah, so the group that we ran this challenge in had 0 people in it. We started this completely from scratch, and what we did was use Kim's strategies and scripts that she helped us with. To invite people that are Facebook friends to this group. And and that worked amazingly. So whether or not they were in my other group was kind of irrelevant. They were inviting to the group for the challenge, to the pop-up group, takes place in the DM on Facebook. So as long as you have a base of Facebook friends, which honestly isn't that hard to build up your Facebook friends. So even if you didn't have that, you know, but if you have a few hundred people on your Facebook profile that are your friends, those are the people you would invite over to your challenge into this new group. And I was thinking like, why would they want to join another group? Like that's, but you know, when you say it in the right way and present it in a way where it's what people want, that's how those people wound up coming over to us. So if you have a base of Facebook friends already, then you wouldn't even need a group. Alternatively, you could have an email list. You could have a base of people somewhere. But I guess you do need to kind of have some people that you're going to invite to your challenge. If you're starting completely to scratch, you know, that there'd be another layer of strategies there, which we do work with clients as well. You asked, how do we do that? We work with clients as well, where we take a month to build out their Facebook friends first. That's probably what you guys would have to do, and then you could invite them over to the challenge, right?
Yeah, it takes if you are really fast at it, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to add 5,000 friends. If you're like super fast and that's all you're dedicated on doing. But yeah, I love your answer, Greg. And thank you, Carla, for asking these questions. Continue asking questions, you guys, because it's in these questions that really help open up the eyes. Like for me to go up to Greg now and say, hey, Greg, you know, in a couple of weeks, if all you did was follow the way that we give you the script in which you invite people, and then we tell you exactly what to say in the way that you say it, and we give you all the resources for it, you're able to convert 3 to 5% of that audience to a high ticket offer. Now, do you believe me? You know, there's a lot of skepticism around that, like profiting big on these smaller groups, because 300 people in the whole grand scheme of things is actually pretty teeny, you know, it's really tiny in terms of an audience. So I do have another question here that says, what is it? What time frame? So I can answer this one. What time frame do you use for the call bookings? You said you have 63. Were they 15, 30, or 60-minute calls? I believe it was 60 minutes, right, Greg, for your enrollment calls?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a 60-minute call because to a $10,000 offer, a lot of times people do need that conversation. We've seen people buy straight up 10,000 straight from an order form. It wasn't until like 11,000 that people like absolutely need to have a conversation first before making a decision. But the reason why we have you do these calls is because it really frames the offer in the right perspective. And if all they see is the price, that's all they'll focus on. And that's a disservice to them because they're shopping based on price, not based on the true cost of their life if they don't take this action. So yeah, but Greg actually turned down like 15 calls. He didn't take all of those calls. So because a lot of people are, you know, you get to pick and choose. That's the amazing thing. You get to choose who you want to work with. If you have a flood of people wanting to work with you, now you're sitting pretty. Now you're going, who qualifies to work with me? Because I'm awesome, right?
Yeah, that's part of the magic of how you taught us to structure this, right? So those people, the reason they were booking that call was to apply for our scholarship, right? And they were coming to, like, we really didn't have to sell them much. They were coming to us like, hey, I want this. I want to work with you guys, right? And so that was kind of the frame that we used. And I had a closer, right? You can hire a hired gun off the top, you know. I'm probably overpaying him at 20%, but he took all the calls. I didn't do the enrollments. I have done enrollments in the past, but I knew with this going on, I was going to need help to manage that. But yeah, that reframe really makes it so you don't have to sell. The way Kim structures the challenge, it's people they're wanting to apply to work with us.
Yeah, they're scrambling to work with you. And then one last question before we end this, and because I respect your time, Greg, usually these interviews are an hour, and we are coming up to that. And then I also want to shout you out, what you're about, everything like that. So one of the questions I always get is, will this work for me? Because with a Facebook group, you know, I teach this. One of the conversations I have is they teach women coming off on menopause. They teach not like money making type of activities. Do you feel like this model, this system would work for someone if they don't teach exactly what it is that you teach, if they teach something else? Do you see, what's your opinion on that? If they're like, I don't know if this is for me because I teach this other thing. I don't know if this will work in the Facebook group world.
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to comment on things that are outside of my world and my experiences, right? We have a B2B offer, a marketing offer. So for sure in that space, it works, right? We're living proof to that. I can see my opinions would be that it's basically plugs into anything where you have a high ticket offer already, right? So if you're already doing some sort of coaching and people are paying you high ticket for that, this is just another great way for you to reach your people, for you to inspire them to become clients. So if you've already kind of cracked the code about how to enroll people and get clients, then this would for sure work for you as a new way of getting clients. You know, if you're still trying to figure out your offer and enrolling people, there's a lot of training and courses and resources in Kim's group for that. You're going to have to learn that part eventually. You might as well get some coaching and have that part figured out. And then, you know, your challenges might be kind of more, you know, ramping up slower, right? If you're starting out from scratch like that. But for people that if you have a proven offer, like this is just a no-brainer.
I love that. All right, Greg. Guys, the cart is closing tomorrow midnight. So make sure that if you're slightly on the fence, that you do put down your deposit at GroupConvert.com/ignite. With that said, thank you so much, Greg, for showing up. Let's give Greg a shout out. So where can they follow you, Greg? Where can they find you online?
Yeah.
Who is the best person that you can serve? What's your perfect? Because, you know, you have you turn down people now. So who are the best type of person to come into your world and get help and get results from you?
Yeah, so I'm easy to find on Facebook because of the unique spelling of my name. It's Greig, Greig, Wells. So Greg Wells, spelled like that. I'd love it if you sent me a Facebook friend request. We work with B2B coaches and marketers. So coaches that are providing business services or marketing services or marketing agencies. And what we do is we run virtual dinner party events where there's nothing for sale, kind of in contrast to Kim's amazing events where you do make your offer at the end. In our events, these virtual dinner parties, it's just about connecting. And what it does is it really warms up your audience. So now you've met people, now you've bonded with them. They're much more likely to show up and to trust you and buy from you. And so, you know, if you can picture in a typical like month, you might run your challenge usually once a month. That's my plan using Kim's system. That's how Kim does it. So then in the off weeks is where the virtual dinner party kind of fits in. So that's what we're up to, and excited to be in the community and to keep learning and growing with you, Kim.
Well, I'm excited and glad to have you here, Greg. Well, guys, that's it. So, Greg, I'm going to put you into the green room. You can click X to, exit the room itself. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm sending you over there. All right, you guys, Greg, that's Greg. He's wonderful. He did, within 1 month inside of Ignite, with his very first launch, $85,000 contracted, half of that cash collected, and then the rest is coming. And it's because he put in the work. He put in the time. We have this motto. It's like share no credit. Take no credit, share no blame with our clients. So they show up fully. And if you are an all-in person, you really want to monetize your Facebook group. You really want to get out of. It's not just about knowing how to convert, but having the peace of mind that this is a model that you can use every single month, every single year, and you don't have to change a lot of the things. You can just go and launch it again the next time, and then with ads, and then eventually own your own software down the line. So that's what we have in store for you as our holistic program. With that said, the cart is closing. So if you are on the fence, make sure that you go ahead and you send me a DM. You can DM me Scale. You can DM me, DM me Scale, and we'll have that conversation because I know this is being broadcasted to the other groups that I have. Hello, you guys. Otherwise, if you're in the 5-day training group right now, we are removing everyone tomorrow. So go ahead and spend the time to watch the replays of the training to catch up. Otherwise, make sure that you do schedule a call. We have over 70 people already scheduled. So there will be some declining of applications because we don't we actually turn down 60% of the people who try to work with us. Because we want to make sure that you get the attention that you deserve. This is not just another group coaching program. You actually have a one-on-one coach that will jump on these one-on-one calls with you. As Greg has mentioned, it was a call with Angel, a call with Michael, and a call with me that enabled him to get these results, and he was off the ground running. So with that said, again, hashtag Tulum and hashtag Mexico if you want details on the mastermind that we have going on in Tulum in July 15th to the 18th. We're going to have an amazing time together, and it's a workshop environment. So it's designed to help you do conversions while you're there. So, all right, you guys, I'll see you in the next video. Super excited. Have a great rest of your day.
Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.